As you may or may not know, my wife and I just got back from Vegas. It was a great trip. We ate, we drank, we had a blast. But then we got home and looked at the credit card, and I gotta say, it doesn't matter how much fun you're having, $25 for a drink is a ripoff. Frickin' Vegas. I hate getting ripped off, and so do the lads over at Harry's. They spent years watching the razor blade companies rip people off and said, no more. Not all heroes wear capes, my friends, and they want to prove that they're legit by offering you hot dogs a $13 trial set for just $3 at harrys.com/RTG. I've been telling you about them for months, and I'm genuinely proud to have Harry's as a sponsor of this show. I wasn't kidding. The plastic, futuristic-looking crap razors you get at the store are overpriced and they're poor quality. Harry's blades are crisp, clean, and classy. They're the kind of razor you'd expect your grandpa to have on his bathroom counter. And most importantly, they work. Shave after shave, they're so smooth, they're precise. I used to go through the crappy store blades all the time, but Harry's are built to last. And they're not just better quality than the other names, they're more affordable. And they deliver. Just set your schedule, and for as little as $2, new blades, shaving creams, lotions, everything you need, right to your door when you need it. I genuinely cannot think of a reason not to try Harry's. And I'm not just saying this because they're sponsors. They're the best shaving supplies I've ever used. Try them out, and if you're not happy, your shave's on them. And unlike the other subscriptions, they're really easy to cancel if you want to too, which is a nice bonus, but believe me, you're not going to want to cancel. Getting ripped off isn't funny. Switch to Harry's. Get started with a $13 trial set for just $3 at harrys.com/RTG. That's harrys.com/RTG for a $3 trial set. Doesn't that just make you want to throw a banana peel at somebody or something? Remember, kids, Super Mario Kart is from the pre-blue shell days. The red shell was the dominant item, you guys. Or maybe the lightning bolt was probably. Anyway, you guys, welcome back to Remember the Game, episode 6. This week, my buddy Dave, Rae, and I are chatting Super Mario Kart, the originator of the Mario Kart series from the Super Nintendo. Anyone that grew up in this time and played this game remembers playing this with their friends or maybe their big brother, little brother, sisters, whatever. Unplugging the second controller to cheat. Battle mode. I won't waste a lot of time. Dave and I rehash all these memories in the podcast this week. So you guys, as always, thank you for listening. Listens are still doing really well. Downloads are still going well. If you like it, please tell a friend, tell somebody about it. Let's spread the word of Remember the Game. And if you're interested in coming on, shoot me a message. Talk about a game you like, and I'll happily talk about a game with you guys. That's it. I'm not going to waste any time. I love this game too much. We're going to get right to it. Super Mario Kart for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. Let's go. Super Mario Kart for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. That is the first Mario Kart game.
Yeah.
It's probably, looking back, it's not the best one. It's not the best of them. It's the most nostalgic, I think.
Yeah. Well, it's the first time. It's like one of those first 3D-esque games.
Dude, yeah. At the time, the graphics were mind-boggling.
Oh,
when
you
started playing it, it was like, wow.
Well, yeah, when I went to the Woolco, which would later be Walmart, I remember going to the Woolco and just seeing the Super Mario Kart and just being like, this is crazy. Yeah. It's like I'm really there.
Yeah, you know? I vividly remember Mario Kart being the first time that I was like, I can't imagine graphics being better than that. Being like, dude, like that looks so real. Yeah. And it's like, I played that again. It was one of the first games I played when I got my SNES Classic, and it's like, it doesn't look that good. Like, it's good, but it's not that good.
Yeah.
You know? Like
you see the pixelation.
Oh, fuck, dude.
Especially on the map on the bottom. And it's just like, oh, those little sprites look like garbage.
Dude, they look awful. And the look, but like, and I still love this to this day, like the look on some of their faces on the little card at the bottom when that map when they're driving around, like Donkey Kong is always like yelling and fucking Yoshi's always got his tongue out of his mouth.
Yeah, if he's sideways, Yoshi's tongue's out.
Yeah. It's the first great multiplayer game I remember from my childhood.
That would be pretty well. I don't know. Ninja Turtles 2.
Oh yeah, yeah. Okay, but
The
I never.
arcade game.
Now, for the record, I never owned Ninja Turtle. Like okay, you're right. You're right. Because to play that 2-player is like the only way to play those games.
Yeah, the beat 'em up like Double Dragon, all those like side scrolling.
Yeah. But that said, like Super Mario Kart was like it was. I don't know if there's a game I remember having
with friends.
more, dude.
Yeah.
When you'd like have a sleepover.
Yeah.
And you'd play like, did you get like battle mode?
The battle mode with the balloons and everything.
You'd play battle mode, and like we always played like King. Like as long as you win, you stay on.
Yeah,
and
then there would be that one guy who like perfected the hop over the like the shell, and it's
because that was like like I mean, it took a long time for them to really compete with because like to me that like for some people may think that feather is useless in Super Mario Kart. I'm like, dude, that is as OP of any item like till the blue shell.
Yeah,
like if you know what you're doing with that thing, you're invincible.
Like that the ghost house level.
Yeah,
where I think it's the very first track or whatever.
Yeah.
Where there's like you can cut out like a fourth of the track.
Yeah.
By just going towards that one edge where it's like that's a dumb thing because you're going to fall off. But if you hit the feather and like line it up just right, you're now ahead by a long shot.
And that was the thing about the feather in those tracks, dude. Was like there were some wicked shortcuts.
Yes,
but you had to stick those fucking landings. Like you needed to have some skills because otherwise you'd stick it, then you just go over the edge on the other side, and then you'd end up losing time by the time fucking Lakitu got you back on the track.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was I love that feather, man.
Yeah.
I'm like, give me the feather every time. Give me the feather every time. Let's fucking go.
One of my favorite things to do is to like it's that one. It's the second Mario track where it's like you hit a special jump and you jump over the track.
Yeah.
So it's like a big figure 8, basically.
Yeah.
Where if you can put a turtle shell down, because this is the thing about Mario Kart is everybody went on a line, like they were like all the
computer guys stayed in the middle of the screen, like the middle of the track.
They followed the exact same path.
So
if you know where to go, you can like lay down the banana peel exactly on the jump, and the person who's been like, because they always like if Toad is always first of the computer players, he's always first for the rest of it.
For
the rest of the thing. But if you can do it and like Toad hits that thing, he spins out and he falls in the middle, and then suddenly he's in behind and he's
fucked.
And suddenly like you mess with the whole standings because the computer couldn't.
Dude, you're right. And like, dude, it hit a point where like I remember when I was a kid because I was so obsessed with getting all the golds.
Yeah.
And you knew how much like you could do the math. It wasn't hard to do the math. You knew if there was a tie, it would go to you. So you're like, I just have to like. So like usually by like, because I think it was 5 courses on a cup, and by the 5th course, I would know like, okay, I gotta like a first place locks this up. First or a second locks this up. I can finish second, or I need to knock Toad down one spot, and then that's it. You wait till the last lap, you know where to drop an item, and then you put it in just the right spot and fuck him over. Like you had to do that. Like, it was because they were like, because the computer in that game in 50 cc they were easy. Once you got into the higher difficulties, like the computer was fucking vicious.
Well, they had that games. I forget what there's a term that they used for it, but basically that there's that thing of the computer's always keeping pace with you. Kind of a thing, like it does,
like a variable difficulty type thing.
Sort of, yeah. Okay. Like it's playing. So if you're way off ahead, or maybe they incorporate that in future ones, but like so that they're always essentially right behind you, kind of a thing.
Yeah, and like I mean, because in 50 you can like I remember playing some of the 50cc ones and lapping everybody by the time it was over. But dude, especially once you get up to like 150, like you unlock the third one.
Yeah.
Yeah, 150 was in that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, once you got all the other ones. It's fucking hard, dude.
Yeah.
And Rainbow Road in that one, like, I mean, Rainbow Road's a staple of Mario Kart.
Yeah.
But the Super Nintendo Rainbow Road
was brutal in particular.
Oh, God, dude.
Because I don't know, because I don't recall the other ones as much. I never played the Wii ones and the 64 ones as much.
Right.
And I remember whenever we played Rainbow Road on those ones, it's like, oh, this is trippy, I guess, but it's not.
None of them were the challenge.
It doesn't have that weird hairpin turn where there's, if you go off, like there's nothing to bounce you.
The entire course. The entire course, there's no walls.
No walls.
So like the worst thing that can happen to you sometimes in that thing is like you get a box and you'd be like, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, and then it'll give you a fucking mushroom, and
It's
you're like,
I guess I can never use an item again.
there's like one stretch where you're like, okay, I can get away with this right now.
Yeah,
Fucking
yeah.
get it out of the way. And then half the time you'd use it, and then you'd run over a banana that you couldn't see because of the fucking floor.
The yellow floor hid the banana.
Hit items or fucking those thwomps were invincible there.
Yeah.
So you'd hit them, and if you hit them, they would spin you out, and
Yeah.
then while you were spinning out, they'd crush you.
Yeah.
And you'd lose like a minute. Oh god. That might be the first game I remember like raging. Was Super Mario Kart.
Yeah.
Trying to get all the golds in that fucking game. Who was your go-to racer?
I think Yoshi.
Me too.
Yeah, the acceleration is a big key.
Yeah, Yoshi. Yeah, because like I remember reading that. I read that instruction book like a billion times.
Yeah, of course.
Hey.
Donkey Kong and Bowser were the slow, but a slow acceleration, but high top speed.
They moved too, man.
What if
They
you could
moved.
master those guys? They were probably ultimately the best.
I would guess so, but I don't know how anyone could do that.
Yeah,
Like, it's so
because
hard
as
to
soon
stay
as
on
you
the
like
course.
bump into something, you like lose all that
They were
acceleration.
dead.
So
Yeah. And then Yoshi and Princess had the acceleration.
Acceleration.
That's what made them so valuable.
Toad and Koopa were like the handling guys.
Yeah, and they didn't slow down as much when they were off the road because they were so light.
Yes.
and they handled nice. And Mario and Luigi were boring. They were just balanced.
They were the balanced
yeah.
ones. Like
So yeah,
those.
it was always Yoshi, dude. All
Yeah.
the way. Yeah, good call. And then Koopa.
Yoshi. Although if somebody took Yoshi, then it'd be Luigi.
Oh, it was Luigi.
Yeah, I was
Oh,
a Luigi guy all the way through.
I was Toad.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know. There's something I don't know why it's the same thing.
I like Koopa.
I like Koopa too, but there's something about the problem, and I may be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure the problem with playing as Koopa was that you always had Mario and Luigi as like your big comp, like because like I think each character had someone that would always be that first place person that was on your ass,
Right.
And when it was Mario and Luigi, because in that game they didn't get items like they do in all the other ones, they each had an item and that was their only weapon.
Yeah.
And Mario and Luigi had fucking stars.
Yeah.
So like if you tried to like play those faster races, especially on Rainbow Road, and you get stuck up against Mario and Luigi and they're both just starring all the fucking time, I couldn't beat them.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, I never paid attention to who it was, but I know what you're saying. Like, yeah, you'd have different.
They were so
pair-ups.
hard to beat, like because because all the other guys, like I mean, like Donkey Kong had his banana peel, and Yoshi had eggs, and Bowser threw fireballs.
That would kind of like go back and forth.
Yeah,
and,
they would spin a little. Koopa Troopa just threw shells, and then Princess and Toad threw those poison mushrooms.
That just made you shrunk.
Which sometimes you would hit, like I would hit them on purpose sometimes if I had a lead because I was like, oh, now I'm little, this is so cool. But but like for the most part, yeah, like you'd try to avoid them. But for Mario and Luigi, you'd have those fucking stars all the time, so you
Yeah.
couldn't touch them. That made it so much harder. Like so, I fucking hated those two so much, so much. Luigi, hey, that's interesting.
Yeah, I just enjoy Luigi because it'd be like one of those things where we go over to a friend's place, and like I'm the second player.
I guess.
I am the underdog. That's fine. I like this
Fair.
guy.
All right, because like when my bro and I would play, like I was always Mario. When we'd play like Mario Brothers or anything, he's always second because I'm the older brother.
Yeah.
So he had to be the little brother. He was Luigi.
Yeah.
So like back in those days, I was like, I'm not fucking Luigi. Like I'm the older brother. I'm not fucking gonna be. Nowadays, like Luigi's become kind of like, I mean, after the Mario Kart,
They also have like personalities now.
they do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Back then, it was just he was just the sidekick
Yeah.
basically. But like now that the Luigi
Green
Death
Mario.
Stare has come out.
Yeah.
Like you've seen the Luigi Death Stare, right, from Mario Kart 8.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I'm like, dude, Luigi's become like a Mario Kart icon because he gives people the stink eye all the time now.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mario Kart was. I was like the amount of memories I like. I mean, who didn't play that game like at sleepovers and stuff like that, or like unplug the second controller,
Yeah.
to fuck over your friend and shit like that all the time. Like battle mode was just. It's funny because they've made so many. Like, I mean, you could argue Mario Kart 64's battle mode was better.
Yeah.
You could argue that. I don't know if I'd believe it, but you could argue that.
Sure.
But the Super Mario Kart, like even once those races are done, because the races get old after a while. You finished them all. That battle mode, dude, like
Yeah.
that never got old.
You can keep
Like-
because it was a different kind of a game.
It was a whole different game.
It was well at that time the closest thing you had to a shooter.
Yeah, probably
Yeah, like
was.
you wouldn't have
Probably
a
was.
party game like that. Yeah, it was like a party game. It
Yeah.
was not like a adventure game where it's kind of like the focus is not competing with the other person or whatever.
And it's funny because like to play that now, because like I didn't play battle mode at all.
Yeah.
When I fired it up on my SNES Classic, I just played the races. That was it.
Yeah.
I'm sure that to play it now, it wouldn't seem nearly as like
Dynamic.
oh my god
Yeah.
as it was as a kid. But dude, as a kid, When you'd fucking get dropped and you're staring at each other across the like arena, those courses, and he'd be like 3, 2, 1 or whatever, and he was just like, oh fuck, here we go. You know what I mean? Like, and you knew where every box was, you knew every shortcut, every hiding place. Like those were so much fun. That mode was so much fun. Like, and it wasn't nerfed like I feel like they are now, where there's like I don't know if you like. I loved Mario Kart 8 when it came out. The battle mode sucked at first. They kind of tweaked it. But like when someone died, then they would come back as a bomb and they could drive around and like blow up somebody and take one of their balloons and stuff like that, right? But back then it was like you each have 3 balloons. There's no way to get your balloons back. It's like you play for keeps. You know what I mean? Like it felt so intense. Like when you got down to that last balloon, there was no fucking around. Like you were paranoid of every shell because your own shells could hurt you. If
you're just like sending like a wild amount of green shells.
So it was like,
they would keep going. That's true.
Yeah, those stupid shells would like the red shell in the original Mario Kart was like as good as gold. Yeah. Once you learned that you just had to be close enough, like 'cause it would go right at the guy. So if he was behind a wall, it would hit the wall and fucking die.
Yeah.
It wouldn't go around walls or anything. But like, there was nothing better as a kid than like when the other guy only had 1 balloon left and then you picked up a red shell.
It's like, it's game over.
It's like you have a gun to his head and you're just waiting to pull the trigger. That's what it was. You're just driving around.
And if you're the other guy, you're just desperately trying to find like a feather or something.
Yeah.
Like, I can't
Because that was the other thing, right? Was like you couldn't, in most of the other Mario games, you can drag an item behind you and use it as like a shield.
Yeah.
And that one, like you could drop a shell right behind you, but you couldn't carry it.
Yeah.
So if you were going to block something with a shell or a banana, like you had to be fucking good.
Yeah. You had to like drop it in time.
Yeah. Because the other guy would shoot, you'd hear that like that pew of him like shooting the shell. And then you'd have to be like, hey, how fucking close, how close, how close. And then be like, now. Like at the last second, because otherwise it would miss it and it would hit you. Oh, fuck.
This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Everyone that listens to this podcast knows about our illustrious CEO, my dog Molly. But the other silent partner behind the scenes is my wife. And let me tell you, my friends, a 17-year relationship with another person that has to talk to and live with you is a lot harder to maintain than one with a dog. We've had our ups and downs, and as you all know, a relationship isn't all sunshine and rainbows. They can be a lot of work. You get out what you put in when it comes to relationships, and talking to a therapist can be a fantastic way to put in some work. They can help you work through your issues, learn to communicate better, and even just provide you with an ear to bend when you need it. I've talked to my therapist about my relationships, especially when it came to my stand-up comedy career and how much I was away from home, and they helped me work on ways to keep my relationship strong even when I was out on the road. It turned out our relationship was actually better when I was out on the road, but that's a story for another day. And I know, right? Therapy. Who has the time these days? BetterHelp hears you, and they're making it easy. Fill out a quick form online, and they'll match you up with a therapist that suits your needs and that'll work around your schedule. You pick the meet times, and you can get your therapy fix from anywhere, over video, phone, or just chat. Become your own soulmate, whether you're looking for one or not. Visit BetterHelp.com/rememberthegame today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/rememberthegame.
Well, that's what it was. I remember when the Super Nintendo came out, and we were kind of touched back a bit on this, like when we were talking about the NES game last time.
Yeah.
Where the Super Nintendo just like I could not believe it. Like it changed the game. Whereas it was such a step up with that 3D, that pseudo 3D thing, especially that they pulled off in Mario Kart, and that lit up my brain. And I never bought a Super Nintendo. I got one like a little later on, sort of, and all that kind of thing. But I remember being at home, wanting to play Mario Kart so bad, and I actually made my own Super Mario Kart board game just myself, and I memorized all the sprites, and so I would do the thing of like you would go around the map with the little characters and like, oh, you turn the corner, oh, you gotta get the side sprite for this guy. And
I made a Mario Kart board game too. That's incredible. I was like waiting to bring that up. I was like, I did too, and
that's why I put this on my list.
Oh my god! Wow.
Yeah, so I made a whole little thing, and like you would. I didn't have dice or anything like that either, so I'd like make you just kind of draw a number from a hat. And, like, that's how many guys. That's how many spaces you moved, and like. And whenever I'd make these like dumb little board games, and with multiple players, like I didn't have anybody to play with, so I would just be this neutral entity. I'm like, I'm just going to see who wins,
Right?
And
Yeah,
keep stats of like Luigi won this one or whatever the thing was.
It was the perfect game for that though.
Yeah.
Like I can't believe they haven't made like a really good, like I know there's like a Mario Kart Monopoly now or something.
Yeah.
But I can't believe they never made like a really good Mario Kart board game because it totally worked.
Yeah.
You raced around the track. There was a way to use items. It
Yeah.
was like, dude, that's so insane. Because I had this. I remember my mom, like, I got this huge sheet of Bristol board and do this huge track that, like, in theory would probably take you like an hour to fucking get around. Like, I don't know if we ever finished a game of it, but I thought it was so cool. And it was
Just the concept, yeah.
yeah. And it was like, and I really think a lot of it was, because you didn't own it, so you were just trying to fill the void.
Yeah.
I played the fuck out of that game, but like there was something about those graphics, which I know now aren't that great, like we said.
Yeah.
But there was something so cool about like Bowser is my favorite Mario character.
Sure.
Because I think he looks so cool.
Yeah.
And to see Bowser in 3D with like these kind of 3D with like these
Pseudo,
spiky
yeah.
shells and stuff, or the spiky shell and to see Yoshi like full like standing up and like I think that's why I like Toad because I just loved his big head.
Yeah.
And it seems so big. You know what I mean? Like those graphics at that time, at least. You're right. The map itself looked like shit, but the 8 characters look pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like they did a good job, you know?
Yeah.
I found it weird that they put Donkey Kong Jr. in it.
Yeah.
Although I guess now looking back, like who would you ever, because I mean, they replaced him with Wario.
Yeah.
Like Wario became that guy, but like at that point, Wario didn't really exist.
No,
Or at least he wasn't in the Super Nintendo anyway.
Yeah, I feel Wario came out around that time on the Game Boy.
Yeah,
Like-
he did. That was his
like-
debut. Was on the Game Boy.
Game Boy,
I think,
yeah.
And it's funny because I remember when he first came out, I was like, "What a stupid character!" I was like, "He's just a fat ripoff of Mario."
Oh, yeah.
And then after a while, like Wario's become one of my favorites.
Yeah.
And then Waluigi came out, and I was like, "Okay, that's dumb." And now I'm like, actually, Waluigi's pretty dope. I'm like, I don't know.
Well, it's such a weird twist because, like, you know, like Luigi's just a reflection of Mario, and then Wario's like a mirror or like kind of like a contrast to Mario,
Mm-hmm.
and then like Waluigi is the contrast to the mirror.
I
like,
guess
it's
so,
like
yeah.
it's so into this weird realm of it.
When I first saw Waluigi, I was like, "This is dumb." I was like, Wario, I can even live with because he just changed Mar into War.
Yeah.
And I was like, he's a bad guy. And it's Wario. I was like, he's like the evil Mario, right?
Yeah.
But then Waluigi, I was like, it doesn't even sound like anything. But now it's like, I'm sorry, not to get on a tirade because we'll go back to Mario Kart. But like, I remember the first time I really started to like Waluigi. It was Mario Tennis for the GameCube, I think.
Yeah, that would seem about right.
Yeah. And in the initial, they had like the little cartoon like to start the video or to start the game. And like Wario and Waluigi were like in the tournament as doubles and they kept losing and they were like getting madder and like they kept blowing each other up.
Right.
And I was just like, that was the point where he like won me over. And I was like, oh, they're just like,
Now
like
they're
a-
a cartoon.
they're a pair
duo.
of bumbling like idiots. You know what I mean?
It's your Bebop and Rocksteady. Yeah.
That's exactly what they are. They're Nintendo's Bebop and Rocksteady. But at the time, I do remember just being like, I was like, Mario, Luigi, Princess Yoshi, Toad, Koopa Troopa, Bowser, all make complete sense. I found, I don't know if I've ever played as Donkey Kong, because when I did pick a heavyweight, it'd be Bowser.
Yeah.
I was like, why the fuck is Donkey Kong? And why is he wearing a t-shirt or like a wife beater? I was like,
I guess the connection is because he was in the first Mario game.
I guess so. And they wanted someone big and heavy.
Yeah.
You know, they needed another heavyweight.
They needed that feel.
Yeah, but like-
there was nobody really like that.
No, I mean, like when it would have had to been like a bad guy, like a Thwomp or something.
Yeah.
Which would have been stupid. Like no one would have played as a Thwomp.
Possibly that guy from Mario 3. You know, like that castle
Oh,
boss.
Boom Boom.
Boom
Yeah,
Boom.
yeah. But even Bowser, like it's funny because like I loved Bowser. But even as a kid, I remember saying many times to like I remember talking about it with my brother and my friends, and I was like, why are Bowser and Koopa Troopa there? I was like, they're like a bunch of friends that went go karting for the day. And I was like, those guys are like the bad guys. I was like, why'd they invite them?
Yeah.
And, you know, and I was really obsessed with that. I was like, why are the two bad guys there? Like, what's the point of that? Like, now I'm like, maybe they're all friends when they're not fighting. I don't know, or like,
This actually reminds me of another story that like had Mario Kart in it. This is so. What I would sometimes do for people is I'd put together like a special like all day game that would be a running around the city kind of a thing.
okay,
And I would normally format it after the TV show 24 with Kiefer Sutherland and all this
Okay.
kind of stuff, running around like stopping a terrorist attack or whatever. it
right,
is.
right.
But one time somebody commissioned me as like, my brother really loves Nintendo. Could you put together like a Nintendo version of your like special day running around the city? Like, yeah, I think I could. So I made this whole day where he woke up to like the Zelda music that's like plays as you wake up,
right?
And like gave him like a Mario costume, and he had to like go meet the princess at this park, and it turns out when he gets there that she's been kidnapped,
Of course.
and so it turned into the story of like, oh, the world of Nintendo is crashing into our world, and to pull them apart you have to complete the quest. And so he did this like combination Zelda Mario quest of like, I took my church and turned the sanctuary, like blocked out all the windows and made a dungeon in there, and like he had to only go in there with just a candle in this pitch black room to find all the rupees. And at one point like Hammer Brothers attacked him down in like in Winnipeg. The Forks is kind of like this tourist
Yeah. Where the water,
where the two rivers meet. And so like Hammer Brothers like showed up and like scared him off, and he had to go. We don't have enough items. We need to get a fire flower and this and this and this. And then at one point, to get one of the items, he had to go do a Mario Kart thing, and so we were there at this go-karting place, all dressed up as the different characters.
Sick.
And we addressed the fact of like, you attacked us like an hour ago. And, well, it's fine now.
Yeah, that's awesome. So it wasn't just me. Other people have thought that as well. They're like, "Why the fuck are the bad guys there? They shouldn't be there."
What is this going on? Yeah,
that really bothered me.
Yeah,
one of my buddies pointed out that like as you played Mario 3.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
At the intro to Mario 3, it's like they're in like a play.
Yeah,
like the stage curtain comes up and they're on the stage. So then one of my buddies, this was like a long time ago when I was a kid. One of my buddies was like, "Well, he's like, they just do that for the games, like when they fight." He's like, Mario 3, it's like a stage. He's like, so it's like when Super Mario World wraps up for the day, they're like, we have the weekend off. What do you guys want to do? And they're all friends. He's like, they got to go karting. Yeah. And I was like, oh, maybe that makes sense. That's why they play tennis together now. And
like
all these things.
3 established it as this idea that they're like, they are just actors.
Yeah, that's what it seemed like. And I was like, oh, maybe that explains it. Because that really, I remember that just like chapping my ass as a kid.
Yeah.
And I liked Bowser. I thought he was cool.
Yeah.
But I was like, you shouldn't be allowed to play as him. He should be the bad guy. Like he should be the one you have to beat to win the race. Like,
yeah.
And that was one of the things I liked about that game too, is like looking back on it, is I love all the courses. Yeah. Like I love that they take you to the ghost house and they take you to like the Donut Plains and Bowser's Castle and like
stuff where like for racing games, I'm trying to think of like on the NES. Like I don't think there's any like wild race games. Like it was all like general tracks and like there'd be stuff on it, but nothing like, oh, this wildly magical place that you can go to.
It was cool that like, and I never even thought about it much as a kid, but like now looking back on it, it's cool that even then Nintendo recognized like we're building this world that like people love. Like people love the world of Mario and the world of Nintendo. And so they're like, let's take those environments and make them race through it. Like, I want to know where because it's the first big kart racer, right? Like I know now they've done like Diddy Kong, and Crash had one, Sonic's had them.
Yeah.
But I think Mario Kart was like, they established like the kart racing genre.
Yeah, because everything before then was either a race simulator, which I wasn't very much, or like
there was like Micro Machines.
Yeah,
like
and there would be like top-down stuff. There'd be like the arcade ones where it's like you're in a Ferrari or whatever racing. But they're all very like it was based on normal racing.
Yeah, they were like real life kind of. Whereas Mario Kart, I just like
introduced the weapons thing. I think.
Yeah, and like
or not introduced, but used it differently.
They used like they took their power ups and their environments and their characters, and like looking back on it now, like because I mean I think most people would agree like the Mario Kart franchise is I would have to think is in Mario or is in Nintendo's like 5 top franchises. Like those games sell a fortune. Like there's the Mario games, there's the Zelda games, there's Pokemon,
there's the Smash series.
There's Smash. I know Pokemon's not Nintendo's, but the Nintendo exclude like it's Nintendo.
Yeah.
I think a different company came up with them, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And I would think Mario Kart is probably there. It's probably, if it's not top 5, it's right on the cusp. Like it's a big franchise. They release one on every system.
Yeah.
And they always sell.
Yeah.
Like I've played all of them. I love, with the exception of Mario Kart Wii, I didn't really care for. But all the other ones I love. Like it's
sure.
But to think about it now, I'm like, where the fuck did you guys come up with the idea to be like, let's just take all these characters everyone likes and make them go race go-karts. Like, where the fuck
Because
did they come up
that
with
was the
that?
first one that like Mario did something that was not like the side-scrolling.
Yeah, they like just took him out of his regular games. I mean, he did like Dr. Mario and stuff.
Yeah.
But it was the first time they took all those characters and just made them like they're having fun. Like they're
Yeah.
just a bunch of regular people. You know what I mean? And it's funny because
I wonder if they came up with the concept of like, hey, maybe we should do like a racing game.
I wonder.
And then I'm like, I bet that's
you're probably right.
Yeah.
They wanted to make a racing game. I mean,
Yeah.
they had F-Zero. I think F-Zero launched with this SNES.
Yes, that's right.
But then they were like
It was one of the first ones for sure.
yeah, which is a good game too.
Yeah.
But then yeah, they were probably just trying to make a racing game, and then we're like,
And
dude,
they saw two design potentials because
Yeah.
like F-Zero operates very similar to Mario Kart.
does yeah, absolutely does. It uses that same kind of, I don't remember what the name of the style is called, but that same kind of graphic and everything.
Yeah, the pseudo 3D
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
But then yeah, I'm sure they looked at it. We're like, yo, let's take like these characters everyone loves. Like Mario at that point was like Mario Mania, right? Like you
Yeah.
had Mario 3, you had Super Mario World. Like everybody knew Mario.
Yeah, the Super Nintendo was huge in its day.
It was so
like,
big.
Yeah.
And then let's drop into Mario Kart. One of my other memories of Mario Kart, and I fucking hate it because you were a Sega kid, right? Like you had a Sega Genesis.
Well, yeah, and the simple story to that was like normally I should have gone with a Super Nintendo because they obviously had way more better games, but I went with a Sega Genesis because I made a decision like I frequently do. I had a crush on a girl who had a Sega Genesis, so I'm like, I'm a Sega Genesis boy.
I got it. That's fair.
I got to buy it,
I
and
get
this
it.
is a decision that's going to affect my next 5 years
It
of
is.
gaming.
It's I meant to bring this up when we were talking about Mega Man last week, but just quickly, it's when the NES came out,
Yeah.
that was the one everybody had. Like I know there was Ataris and ColecoVisions and shit, but everyone had an NES.
NES changed. It was they were able to find the thing to
Yeah. But like the SNES and the Genesis, it was like, dude, like battle lines were fucking drawn. Like that
Yeah.
shit was. I only had one friend that had a Sega Genesis. I hardly ever touched a Sega as a kid.
Yeah.
Everyone had the Super Nintendo.
Well, and I like the Sega Genesis did bite into their market share a little
Sure they
bit, but
did.
like not. I don't think as big as. Like I feel like it was like one Sega Genesis to like every 4 or 5
It was.
Nintendos.
They tried.
Yeah.
Where I remember it is I remember seeing a commercial and I vividly remember this commercial. And it's like this old TV and it had Super Mario Kart running on it.
Yeah.
And it's like on a broken down old car and it's like and it's like crushing, like slowly like putting down the street. And then all of a sudden it's just like and it was a Sega with
Yeah.
like Sonic and all this shit. And then
Yeah.
they were showing like slow ass Mario Kart. And then I remember like finally and they did make it seem so slow. And then I remember playing a Sega, like a Sonic game, and just being like, I can't, this is too fast. I was like, I'm not trying to do anything. I was like, give me back my slow Mario Kart.
Yeah.
But I get, and that's when they were doing those commercials that was Sega does what Nintendo don't.
Yeah,
I remember they
sure.
were saying that and going after them. But Nintendo just like, maybe it's part of the reason I'm such a big Nintendo fan now. And I feel like it was the Super Nintendo is what did it. And it was games like Mario Kart, Super Mario World, Yoshi's Island. Those games where Nintendo really put their foot down and were like, we're going to make the best video games
Yeah.
on the planet. We may not have the best system. We may not have the most powerful console, whatever.
Yeah.
And they don't. They very rarely, they never do anymore.
Yeah.
They never do. Like the
They don't
Switch
even
is
try.
vastly underpowered, the
Yeah.
Xbox and the PS4. But I
But you
would,
kind of don't need it.
they don't. And I will argue to the death that Nintendo games made by Nintendo,
Yeah.
and this goes as far back as Super Nintendo, maybe even some of the NES ones, but I'll go to Super Nintendo, have a quality and a shine and a little bit of like extra love put into them that very few other games in the business since the Super Nintendo have.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's just like you said,
so well thought out.
Super Mario Kart, you could pick it up. I know that the graphics and the controls are a little tight now,
Yeah.
but you could still pick that up and be like, this is awesome. Like,
Yeah.
this is a great game.
There's some great ideas and some great planning.
The love they put in those characters, they're so well established. And I think Super Mario Kart did a good job of really establishing that universe. It was more than just platforming
Yeah.
and saving the princess from Bowser.
Yeah.
I feel like Mario Kart was the first time they took all those characters and took that world and were like, yo, there's all kinds of shit going on here.
Yeah, yeah.
They're not just, it's not just some lizard kidnapping a girl and you have to go get her.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and that's to me, like Super Mario Kart spun into like Super Mario RPG. where you got to see something
Yes.
different, which
Yeah.
spawned into like, I mean, once you got to the Nintendo 64, then you got like tennis and golf, and like then they fucking blew up and went everywhere.
Yeah.
But I really feel like Super Mario, without Super Mario Kart, I mean, obviously we wouldn't have any other Mario Kart games,
Yeah.
but I wonder if we would have the Zelda or the tennis games and the golf games and those, because that was the first time they really,
And it works so well for them
it
too.
really did, and that was the first time they kind of opened the curtain and were like, there's this whole zany world like where they're doing all this shit. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, they really leaned into that kid market that did them so well, and I think that's why they stuck with it, even to this day. And that's really good, because it's kind of like, as much as you want video games for myself, I want ones that are like aimed at me as an older guy, but you still, the fact that Nintendo still focuses like, no, we're making kids games and like making them really good and
really
sharp,
good,
yeah,
polished. And now they're games that like kids love, but they're also games that like, I mean, I'm 30. How old are you, Dave?
35.
I'm 34. Like, we're the same age.
Yeah.
I grew up on Nintendo, and now as an adult, I'm like, I gave up my PS4 and my Maddens and my Call of Duties, because I'm like, no, I only have to play so much.
Yeah.
And I want to play Mario. I'm
Yeah.
like, I want to play Zelda. I want to play the Nintendo games, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like, and I never even thought of this till just now trying to close out this podcast. I really feel like Super Mario Kart was like the first stone in that walkway that we took, for lack of a better analogy. The Mario games were fine before it, but Super Mario Kart was the first time they showed you like, we have something special in this universe, and we're gonna really use it. Like, we're gonna do everything with it.
Yeah, to remind you that, like, these are supposed to be, video games are supposed to be fun.
Yeah. And that's really all it was, dude. It, like, I know they tried to use it to show off what the Super Nintendo could do for graphics and stuff like that. I'm sure they did. But like, at the end of the day, it was just a fun game.
Yeah.
Anyone listening to this has had nights where they've been at their friend's house or played with their brother or their sister or whatever, and you played battle mode till 3 a.m. You know what I mean? Like, or you, like, it was so
Whether
good.
it's that one or one of the future ones, it all laid out, like, in that game, like, laid out what would be another great formula.
Absolutely,
for Nintendo.
I also would like to know if anybody else made board games out of that game, because I'm sure other people have.
I was not expecting you to have
Dude,
one. Yeah.
I was so excited to bring it up, and then when you said it, I was like, "Oh my god,
Yeah.
it wasn't just me."
Oh, by the way, I made Smash Brothers before Smash Brothers was a thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I took a Chutes and Ladders thing, so it was like a cube thing, and I made a wrestling game with Mario, Luigi,
That's
all
pretty
the
sick.
Zelda, like all the Nintendo characters, and like make them fight each other and all that kind of stuff.
That's a good idea, man.
Yeah, and then like when Smash Brothers came out, I'm like, they made my game finally. Like, 5-10 years later, or whatever it was.
Smash. I don't know. I mean, Smash is fine, but Smash is no Mario Kart. Mario Kart's the fucking. I love Mario Kart. David, thanks for coming over and talking video games with me, buddy.
Yeah, no, this was great.
This
was
was
a lot of
awesome.
fun.
We'll get you back over. We'll talk some more. And the fact that you love the NES too.
Yeah.
Like, I know we didn't talk NES this time. We talked Super Nintendo. But the fact that you love the NES too, I'm like, we're the same age. We grew up on the NES.
You need
get
some
you.
of that slightly older guy.
Yeah, I do.
Slightly older person.
Not enough people are old enough to play the NES like we did.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming over, buddy.
Yeah, no problem.
And that's going to do it for this week's episode of Remember the Game, you guys. I hope you enjoyed that trip down memory lane, nerding out with David and I about Super Mario Kart. I recently replayed it on my SNES Classic, and dude, the controls and everything don't quite hold up like some of the new ones, but for my money, Super Mario Kart, it's the second or third best Mario Kart of all time. Mario Kart 8 is the definitive Mario Kart, and then I would have to go one of Mario Kart 64, Super Mario Kart, or Double Dash. They're all so good, except Mario Kart Wii kind of sucks. Bah, I love the Mario Kart franchise. That's it, you guys. I'm going to get out of here. Thank you so much for listening. Like I said, if you enjoy the show, tell somebody. I'd really appreciate it. Or leave me a good review. Or do both. If you're really feeling generous, do both of those things. That would be rad. I have some great episodes coming up, a couple of RPG-centric episodes. I hope you guys like RPGs. I love them. So there's going to be a bunch of those with some old friends. And like I said at the beginning of this, if you're interested in coming on, please shoot me a message. Maybe there's a game you like that I like, and we could put our heads together and talk about it. Or if you don't like, I have no problem with talking about some crappy games too. That's it. I'm going to go. Thanks for listening, you guys. I'll check in with you again next Wednesday, okay? Enjoy yourselves and go play some Mario Kart. All right. Bye.